Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. I know the sad news that UGC had already cancelled their last exam, and don't feel bad because I also sat for the exam for GRF and it went good because the questions were pretty easy for our subject, and also not bad for paper 1 if uh, I leave the DI section. So we cannot do anything but to practice. So when I sat for the exam, I already had the net. I sat for GRF. So I saw that there are many questions this time where they follow the previous years of NET and other SET exam, and you can say the QA exam also. So I thought that if I have the chance, I can practice the PYQ with the explanation so that it will be more easy for me. So I thought to practice with you so that it will also give you a revision. Mm, you can practice with me. I am going to read this PDF. This is very much useful PDFs. I'm going to read it with the explanation and try to explain you as much as possible. So let's start. And I also thought to make videos of theory questions or important topic of theory, and set question and also get questions, so that it will give us a thorough revision of the whole thing, and also try to do the chronological questions in different way. I want to take some period like restoration period, as they always focus in restoration period, and then see the authors one by one, so that we can remember the chronology, their date of birth, their works, important works, publication date, and also the Indian literature also, because they always focused on Indian literature and now Dalit literature. So if you like this video, please subscribe. We cannot do anything but to practice, right? So let's practice together. It will help us both. So here I took the question of 2007 June, because as I saw that they repeat the not the recent year questions, but the question which we already which are pretty much earlier. Okay, so let's see our first question. Okay. Even I, advance of more renown than they, was sent before but to prepare thy way, are quoted from. So this quoted from C means Dryden's Macflecknoe. Dryden's Macflecknoe is a verse mock heroic satire written by John Dryden. It is a direct attack on Thomas Sadwell and another prominent poet of the time. So we know the rivalry between Thomas Sadwell and John Dryden, right? John Dryden. So here we see that this quotation, even I, advance of more renown than they, was sent before but to prepare thy way. It was taken from Dryden's Macflecknoe. We can see the others important work here, Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel, and here the other important work like Pope's Dancier and Swift's A Tale of a Tub. So you should you should see the other options also, because we mostly we thought that other options are not important, but we see that NET always try to repeat these options. They did not give you the same question, but they will repeat the options. Like this time they gave you the question that which are not work of Johnson, and there they gave you the option of Swift's letters to Stella. So Swift's letters to Stella is an important work, and there you can out the odd one. So here also you can always see the others options so that it will help you, right? So there the second question, Fanny Barney's Evelina is about. So it's about a in a young lady's entry into English fashionable society. Evelina, or you can see the subtitle. It is important that the history of a young lady's entrance into the world. So you can guess the answer from its subtitle, right? That history of a young lady's entrance into the world is a novel written by English author Fanny Burney and first published in 1778. So nowadays it is very much important to remember the publication date, because they always gave you the question of chronology, and they asked you the publication date. So Fanny Barney's Evelina, with subtitle History of a Young Lady's Entrance into the World, and it was published in 1778. Okay, let's see the next question. The unexpurgated text of Lady Chatterley's Lover was published after obscenity trial. So the answer will be 1960s. Okay, Lady Chatterley's Lover is a novel by D.H. Lawrence, first published in 1928 and privately, and after an expurgated edition could not be published openly in UK until 1960. So in 1960 it was republished. So in this exam also we see that there are chronological question of D.H. Lawrence work, where the White Peacock, Sons and Lovers and other options were given. So you can remember it in that way also, and these publication dates are very much important. Then the next question, Sir Andrew Freeford is a character. So Sir Andrew Freeford is a character of the Coverley Papers. So Sir Andrew Freeford is a character in the Coverley Papers. Is in the Coverley essays, which is best recognized by the most popular section, the Spectator Club. So it is recognized by the most popular section of the Spectator Club. And if you know who was the writer, please write on the comment section. It is a question for you. And the other options also, Clarissa, who wrote Clarissa, who wrote Humphrey Clinker, and Joseph Andrews, and it is a easy question, right? So please comment below. Then, in which of the following novel does Stein feature as a significant character? Lord Jim. So these all these novels are by Joseph Conrad, and here Stein feature as a significant character. Lord Jim is a novel by Joseph Conrad, originally published as a serial in Blackwood's magazine. So nowadays the publication magazine, the editor are most important than the writer. So they usually they ask question from which magazine it was published, and who edited this text, right? And in this time also we can see that type of questions. So Lord Jim is a novel by Joseph Conrad, originally published as a serial in Blackwood's magazine from October 1899 to November 1900. So it was published from 1899 to 1900, and it was published in Blackwood's magazine. Okay. Then the next question, the Grand Inquisitor is a character in, so it is a character in Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. Okay, so it is a character in Fyodor Dostoevsky's Brothers Karamazov, which was published from 1879 to 1880, and the others works are also from from Fyodor Dostoevsky, very much important work like Crime and Punishment, all you know, Notes from the Underground, Brothers Karamazov, and The Idiot. Idiot also an important work, and most of the time they ask question from this text. Which modern critic described value judgment as donkey's carrot? So you know the archetypal criticism, right? Archetypal theory, and which modern critic described value judgment as the donkey's carrot of the literary criticism? And the answer will be Northern Fire. Northern Fire had described value judgment as the donkey's carrot of literary criticism in his book The Anatomy of Criticism, which was published in 1957. So it was published in 1957 by Northern Fire, where he criticized the value judgment, or described the value judgment as donkey's carrot of literary criticism. Then the work, select the matching pair. So most of the time they ask this type of question also. So the book of the Duchess, Blanche of Leicester, and the others options are wrong, right? So the book of the Duchess, also known as the Death of Blanche, is the earliest of Chaucer's major work, preceded by his short poem and ABC, and possibly by the translation of Romance of the Rose. So it was possibly by his after the work and ABC and Romance of the Rose. Blanche was the wife of his patron John of Gaunt, who died in 1368. So he died in 1368. John of Gaunt's wife, about whom he wrote the text, the book of the Duchess. And the Canterbury Tales, you know, Troilus and Cressida, you know, and Parliament of the Bards also, you know. The Canterbury Tales are from his English period, Troilus and Cressida also, and you know. But the right match is the book of the Duchess, which is written Blanche of Leicester. Okay. The winter morning forms part of a longer poem by Cooper. So the task, a poem in his 6 books, is a poem in blank verse by William Cooper, published in 1785. Its 6 books are called The Sofa, Time, Place, Garden, The Winter Evening, The Winter's Morning Walk, and The Winter's Work at Noon. So sometimes these kinds of work which are not famous also asked by the UGC net. Okay, so the Winter's Morning form part of a longer poem, and it was written by William Cooper. Then Bradley Pearson is the narrator of Iris Murdoch's novel, and the novel is The Black Prince. The Black Prince, you know, written by Iris Murdoch, and it was published in 1973. The Black Prince is remarkable for the structure of its narrative. The main character, Bradley Pearson, is an author, and the whole story moves around him. So the Black Prince also, you can say, has reference of Hamlet. So here you can see the character Bradley Pearson, who is an author, and whole story moves around him. And the others work also by Under the Net is a very much famous work by Iris Murdoch. Then Victorian compromise is an important question. Victorian compromise is an expression first used by G.K. Chesterton. In 1913, the Home University Library published Chesterton's The Victorian Age in Literature. The literature of 18th century England was revolution by, but the politics were not. Puritan theology was rejected by Puritan practices remained in all. Though the society tried to maintain a moral face, underneath was a heartless philosophy known as utilitarianism, and Chesterton calls this great gap between theory and practice the Victorian compromise. So you can see the explanation, and it is very well given, right? So the Victorian age in literature, Chesterton used the term Victorian compromise because he saw that the gaps between theory and practice. Then the next question, Thomas More's Latin masterpiece Utopia, translated into English in 1551. Right, so it was published in 1551. Utopia is a work of fiction and political philosophy by Thomas More. Thomas More, you can see the lifespan of Thomas More, which is he was born in 1478 and he was died in 1535. So nowadays, to look the lifespan of the author is most important than their works, right? You should know their lifespan, their publication date of their work, than their summary of their text. So he was born in 1478 to 1535, and his work published in Latin in 1516 and in English in 1551. The Anxiety of Influence, a theory of poetry, is written by Harold Bloom. The Anxiety of Influence, a theory of poetry, is a 1973 book by Harold Bloom. It was the first in a series of books that advanced a new revisionary or antithetical approach to literary criticism. So it is a revolutionary work, and the Anxiety, it was published in 1973. Then the next work, who among the following was not a member of the group, the University Wits? And I saw that there is a little mistake in this question. So the answer will be B and D. And University Wits is a phrase used to a group of 16th century English playwrights who were educated at the universities of Oxford and Cambridge. So from this para you can get some questions like who are the university wits from Oxford and who are the university wits from Cambridge. So who became popular secular writers, and Shakespeare also followed their works. Prominent writers of these groups were Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, and they are from Cambridge. So Christopher Marlowe, Greene, and Nash from Cambridge, and George Pili, Lodge, and Lilly were from Oxford. So 3 are from Oxford and 3 are from Cambridge. Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash are from Cambridge. George Pili, Lodge, and Lilly from Oxford. They emerged in the period of 1580s to 90s and wrote in pre-Shakespearean style. John wrote during and after Shakespearean era. So John wrote they emerged in the period of 1580s to 90s and wrote in pre-Shakespearean era, and Johnson wrote during and after Shakespearean era. Okay, so they gave the answer Ben Jonson, but Samuel Daniel also not be the answer. Okay, will be the answer. Okay, William Beckford's Oriental fantasy Bhatek was originally written in. So Bhatek is a Gothic novel by William Beckford. Okay, first know this, that Bhatek is a Gothic novel by William Beckford. It was composed in French beginning in 1782. So it was composed in 1782 and then translated into English. So the answer will be C, mean French. So it was a French novel and it was translated into English in 1782. Okay, the term American Renaissance was first published by, so the answer will be F.O. Matheson, right? So a scholar F.O. Matheson originated the phrase American Renaissance in his book American Renaissance 1941. So 1941 is the another important publication date of another work. So I hope you know, by looking at the publication date you should remember the text, right? So please write on the comment section if you know, or I will write it. Gladly would he learn and gladly teach is a line from Chaucer's prologue to Canterbury. Chaucer's prologue to Canterbury Tales is a collection of 24 stories that runs to over 17,000 lines written in Middle English by Geoffrey Chaucer, and here he uh, gave the quotation, gladly would we learn, if we gladly learn then we can gladly teach. Then the chronological order and next favorite chronological question. So I will go to the answer, which is first will be Playboy of the Western World. Playboy of the Western World, which was published in 1970 by J.M. Sinch. 1907 by J.M. Sinch. Then Justice 1910 by Goldsworthy. Justice is an important work. You should know the publication date because there are in many syllabus they gave the text Justice. Saint John by G.B. Shaw. Saint John by G.B. Shaw. This time in Bihar state exam also I saw the saw a question where there was given the lifespan of G.B. Shaw, which was 1942 something. So publication date and birth of the author is very much important nowadays. So Saint John, which was written in 1924, and Family Reunion by T.S. Eliot, which was published in 1939. So you can see that you can guess that T.S. Eliot will be the last one, and his work The Family Reunion published in 1939, and G.B. Shaw before him 1924, Saint John, Justice before him, John Galsworthy, and James Sinch 1907. Then the next question, the second part of the Pilgrim's Progress was published. So the second part of the Pilgrim's Progress is written by John Bunyan, and it was published in two parts. The first part is 1678 and second part 1684. The second part of the Pilgrim's Progress also published by John Bunyan. John Bunyan was an important writer, and his the second part was published in 1684. Okay, and first was published in 1678. Okay, so the Egoist is written by George Meredith, published in 1879. So it was written by George Meredith. Okay, the Egoist is an important work. Then again the chronological question, so I will go in the answer. So the Time Machine by R.L. Stevenson. The Time Machine by R.L. Stevenson published in 1895. Then Decline and Fall by Evelyn Waugh published in 1928. Then Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, written in 1932, and 1984, published by George Orwell, 1949. So you can guess that George Orwell will be the last. Okay, so Time Machine by R.L. Stevenson. Most of these are dystopian and science fiction type of work. So the Time Machine by R.L. Stevenson by 1895. Decline and Fall by Evelyn O, 1928. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, 1932, and 1984 by George Orwell is an important work, published in 1949. Then Roland Barthes is the author of the following text. So Roland Barthes, you know that he was published the book The Death of sorry The Death of the Author. Okay, The Death of the Author is a 1967. So please remember the publication date, 1967 essay by French literary critic theorist Roland Barthes published the book The Death of the Author, which was published in 1967. The author of the Elizabethan sonnet sequence ideas is, so you know that Elizabethan sonnet sequence idea was given by Michael Drayton. Michael Drayton, he was born in 1562 and died in 1619, was an English poet and historian who wrote Idea, a sonnet sequence. So he wrote Idea and sonnet sequence, published in 1593, revised in further edition. Samuel Denial's sequence Delia was published in 1592. So he published a sonnet sequence which is Idea, and which was further revised by Samuel Daniel. So you can guess that this question also can be asked, that Samuel Denial's sequence Delia, published in 1592, which was the revised version of Idea. Okay, which was written by Michael Drayton. Then Muriel Sparks' The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie is a rewriting of the Victorian novel. So it is a rewriting of the Victorian novel The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Sparks, published in 1961 by Macmillan. And in this novel, 6 10-year-old girls, Sandy, Rosie, Mary, Jenny, Monica, and Eunice, are assigned to Miss Jean Brodie, who described herself as in my prime as their teacher during 1930s Edinburgh. So the question is that it was rewrite of Jane Eyre, right? So it was rewrite by Jane Eyre. The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Please remember the character's name. Sometimes they ask you to odd one out, which is Sandy. Sandy is most important. Sandy, Rosie, Mary, Jenny, Monica, and Eunice. Sandy is the conspirator, you can say also. The Romantic Imagination is the title of a book by, so the Romantic Imagination is the title of a book by is the book by Bauda, C.M. Bauda, and which is Maurice Bauda. He was born in 1898 and died in 1971. Was an English classical scholar known for his wit. So he was an English scholar, classical scholar known for his wit. He served as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Oxford from 1951 to 1954. The Romantic Imagination was published in 1949. So it was written by C.M. Bauda. Okay, so these are the 25 questions. I think I should stop here so that the video will not go long. And if you like this series, I will continue it. If you don't like it, I also continue it. Okay, because it will be very much helpful for me. to revise all these questions. So thank you for your time. Thank you very much.